The moment the final horn sounded, the arena didn't erupt so much as split. Half the crowd roared for dominance. The other half booed a clinic they felt went on too long. That mood swing captures why the Khamzat Chimaev versus Dricus du Plessis fight at UFC 319 is filling every timeline. It wasn't just a win, it was a statement that lifted the belt while lighting new arguments, and the MMA world wasted zero time taking sides. Conor McGregor fired first, condensing chaos into a one-liner that traveled fast. He saluted Chimaev as his region's first UFC champion, a nod that doubled as a spotlight. When Conor drops a line like that, the internet listens. Whether you read it as praise or cheeky provocation, the message was clear. This victory echoes past one weight class. Then came Henry Cejudo, never shy with superlatives and rarely wrong about greatness. "Not human," he wrote, then asked if this was the most dominant championship performance by a challenger in UFC history. Hyperbole? Maybe. But when the guy who conquered 2 divisions says it, people lean in. Not everyone was drinking the same punch. Paulo Costa logged on with the kind of take that spawns 1,000 replies. "Boring," he said, adding that the crowd booed. To him, dominance without danger is a slow dance, not a fist fight. Judging by the jeers that bubbled up during long stretches, he wasn't alone. Bo Nickel had a different reaction. Quiet, focused, and telling. "I really gotta lock in." Coming from a wrestling monster, that's a whiteboard note. He watched the positional pressure, the suffocating pace, and the way Khamzat erased space the instant punches landed. If you're aiming for that belt, lock in means tear up your program and build a new one tomorrow morning. Ariel Helwani played traffic cop while timelines collided, calling it a sweep and tipping his hat to Dricus for refusing the exit. He framed the 5th round like a tiny window of hope. Brief reversals, a few clean shots, but the broader picture never changed. Control, control, control. His final line matched the night. The Chimaev era has begun. Terrence McKinney chimed in with a 2-part message. First, he called Khamzat an all-time great in the making, and said he made it look easy doing it his way. Then he asked the question nobody on the losing side wants to hear. Have we seen a title fight this lopsided? Some fights are close, even when they aren't. This one felt decided early and stayed that way. Bilal Muhammad mixed sarcasm with math, tossing out a line about 5-10-8s. It was trolling, sure, but it carried a point. If you're being walked backward and grounded at will, the debate isn't about toughness, it's about time spent in the wrong position. Fans love grit, and Dricus showed it, but grit without moments turns into highlights for someone else. Then there was Sean Strickland, whose tweets are like a bar argument that keeps finding a microphone. He claimed he's the one guy who can out-grapple Khamzat for 5 rounds. Bold? Absolutely. Strickland believes pressure breaks pressure. If he's right, it sets the stage for a collision built on cardio and stubbornness. If he's wrong, it becomes another clip in Khamzat's reel of men who thought they could live in that storm. The MMA guru crowd had their say too, pointing out that Dricus found flashes of daylight late, landed a few clean shots, and even reversed positions. The complaint wasn't just that Khamzat neutralized danger, it was that he seemed to prefer it. Shoot after getting touched. Body lock after every exchange. No scramble, no risk, no finish. For purists, it was masterful. For thrill seekers, it felt like someone muted the last track. Dylan Dennis made his appearance with the usual flourish, promising he's the one who can solve the puzzle nobody else can. He hurled insults, as is tradition, and vowed to save the sport from another era of smothering dominance. Agree or not, Dennis understands the algorithm. He doesn't need you to agree, he needs you to argue. Here's the truth the fight hammered home. Khamzat's game is a map that erases shortcuts. He doesn't negotiate in the center. He pressures the fence, closes doors, and makes every exchange end where he wants it to end. That's not just cardio, that's control as a philosophy. When critics call it safe, defenders call it championship thinking. Both have a point. Finishing is a glory, but there's a colder kind of greatness in smothering someone elite for 25 minutes and never letting them breathe. For Dricus, the story isn't humiliation, it's calibration. He absorbed the lesson and still came forward when doors opened, especially in the 5th. He chased chances, swung when he had space, and refused the discouragement you could feel settling in. That matters because resilience is currency in this division. Lose it and you slide. Keep it and you learn. The belt moves, but the rankings remember. What made the reaction so loud is the contradiction at the center of the night. Fans want dominance until they don't. They want chaos until it costs their favorite fighter. They want to finish until their fighter is on the wrong end of it. Khamzat's performance touched those pressure points at once. He thrilled his core, frustrated his doubters, and gave future opponents homework they didn't want. That's why the timeline doesn't agree, and why it won't settle down soon. If you were scoring at home, you didn't need fancy metrics to see how the frames stacked. Takedown threats turned into takedown truths. Clinches turned into drags. Even the stand-up carried the shadow of the shot. Every time Dricus landed, he bought a second. Khamzat spent it by changing levels and resetting the terms. This is the worst kind of puzzle for a power puncher, the kind that never sits still long enough to be solved with one big answer. So where does it go from here? The names are already floating. Wrestlers want to test the chain. Strikers hope to find the pocket before the floor disappears. Veterans swear they can drag him into deep water. And every contender with a schedule and a social account is trying to turn a post into a paycheck. That's how a new era starts. Not just with a belt on a waist, but with a target on a back. In the middle of the noise, a simple takeaway keeps repeating. Pressure isn't just what you do, it's what you make the other person do. Khamzat made Dricus defend, then made him hesitate, then made him guess. By the time the fifth arrived, the urgency belonged to the challenger holding the lead, not the champion chasing it. That's power hidden in plain sight. Was it beautiful? Depends on your definition. If you chase knockouts, it was a tease. If you worship control, it was a sermon. Either way, it was proof that styles don't just make fights, they make narratives. And tonight's narrative is strong enough to carry into the next booking, the next press conference, the next argument in your group chat. So yes, McGregor's salute turned heads. Yes, Cejudo's history claim stirred debate. Yes, Costa's boredom take lit a fire. Yes, Helwani's era line framed the night. Yes, McKinney's question about lopsided title fights won't go away. Yes, Strickland's call out feels wild and inevitable at the same time. And yes, the critics shouting blanket will keep shouting until someone forces Khamzat to choose between control and chaos. That's the hook for the sequel. Until then, remember what it felt like in those in-between moments when the crowd wasn't sure whether to boo or hold its breath. That tension is the measure of a champion's presence. You don't have to love the method to respect its effect. The belt didn't just change hands, the conversation changed gears. And now every contender has to answer the same question Dricus faced for 25 long minutes. Can you live under that pressure and still be yourself? Maybe the next challenger will. Maybe they'll stuff the first shot, slice an elbow inside, and keep the fight where fireworks live. Maybe they'll force a trade in the pocket that can't be bought back with a double leg. Or maybe we'll be right back here, arguing about dominance versus danger while another scorecard reads the same. Either way, the sport wins because nothing fuels it like a new king who makes people pick a side. By the time your feed refreshes, there will be new callouts, new training clips, and new promises. Some will be noise, some will be real. The only certainty is the image that lingers. Khamzat, stone-faced, belt glinting, while the boos and cheers mix into a single restless sound. That's not apathy, that's anticipation. And if the reactions tell us anything, it's that everyone will watch the next one even closer, whether to celebrate, to critique, or to finally find the crack they swear is hiding in plain sight.